Well, I want to make an astute observation here. HOAs are both anti-freedom and un-American, but a lot of people are moving into them, especially retirees. And when I look at an HOA, and I say to myself, why the heck would you want to live in there? And I think it's safety, security, convenience, and what the founding fathers said. And those who trade their freedom and independence for a little bit of security and safety don't deserve their freedom and independence. And that applies to people that move in these things called HOAs. Now, I remember when I got in the Marine Corps in the early 80s, and I got out in the mid 90s. Before, they didn't have HOAs, and then I got out and I said, what the heck is this? HOAs, walled communities. I don't think they had them. I never heard of them, or at least they were not popular back then. Back in the 70s, there was hardly anybody doing that. But they really have so many restrictions. Like there's like an example recently that a woman was flying a thin blue line American flag for her father, who was an officer that died, and she was told to take it down because they said it was racist. A thin blue line American flag, right? American flag, thin blue line. I'm not even a fan of that type of flag, but that's what the HOA told her. Another person was flying an American flag for her husband, who was a Marine that was overseas, and they told her to take it down for some reason. I don't know what it was. Me, I got multiple Confederate flags up, including my Cherokee Braves flag, Cherokee Braves, because they were fighting for the CSA. Multiple flags up, and I don't live in an HOA, including a 40-footer. Also want to mention here, I can't stand golf. I just don't like it. I just can't. I know some people love it. I know the Japanese love it. I know Japanese in Japan. Boy, they got golf courses everywhere, but I just can't stand it. And, my personal beef with it is when I was in the military, I used to see people that, brown nosers to the max. What they would do is they'd go out and play golf with the officers and retired senior enlisted and retired officers to get as many brownie points as possible. And you can get a lot of brownie points just by playing golf with these people. Something that turns my stomach, and I don't like it anyway. I was always out on a rifle range myself. But I see the seniors playing this game. I don't know. I just can't stand it. And I'm going to have a little box on the end of this video of what I think a senior community should be. It's going to be kind of edgy. It's something I put out a while ago. Didn't get many hits, but I forget what I actually put on it. But it's kind of edgy. But what the hell? But the thing is, when you go into these retirement communities and the HOAs, everything's the same. It's conformity plus. It really reeks of destroying the individual to the max, and people are willingly doing this. And what gets me, like in the retirement communities around here in Florida, most of them are Republicans, right? They're supposedly anti-socialist and all this kind of stuff, and they go into these communities, and I'm thinking to myself, somehow that just doesn't jive. But I'm definitely not a hardcore Republican. Definitely not a hardcore Democrat. More so than that, I'm definitely not a Democrat. But I never liked Rick Scott, for instance, out of the governor of Florida. Hey, boy, what a crook. But the Democrats are right. But the Democrats, they're all bad. But the thing is, if you're a true American, you should believe in independence and freedom as much as possible, and just go your own way. Now, I could see if you are so physically infirm, say you can't mow the lawn, you barely do anything yourself, maybe you'll go into one of these communities like that because you feel safer around people your own age. That could make sense. Now, basically, I'm in that category now. I'd be a senior citizen. I'm going to be out there mowing the lawn with a little 21-inch mower in the heat and, over half an acre by hand, okay? Plus trimming the trees and all this other stuff. I don't like get into this stuff. I do my own stuff. Whether it's difficult or not, it's hot, sweaty, whatever, I just do my own stuff. I'm going to continue to do so and just keep taking vitamins or whatever. But, they, see these, this is funny too. You see the golf carts here, build a wall. They're referring to the wall on the southern border. Well, they're already walled in, for crying out loud. I mean, this is the, I'm definitely not a communist or a liberal. I can tell you that right now, but I can tell you the conservatives and these Republicans are definitely nowhere near freedom-minded as me. And, I just can't, it doesn't It doesn't jive when you have a supposed conservative, quote unquote, Republican, constitutionalists moving into an HOA with all these dumb rules, and they're complying with it willingly and paying all this extra money. On top of it, when they make these when they have these gated communities and stuff, they they could improve the or raise the value of the land and property around them, but on top of it, it causes other rules and fees and school fees and all this other stuff and infrastructure fees often to go on to the taxpayers of all these people around these gated communities. They'll somehow they get affected because what happens once these gated communities get really big, they outvote the natives that have been there for 5 generations. This is what's going on in Florida. Like you'll have Floridians who've been here, like not me, obviously I'm from New Jersey originally, but I'm definitely a freedom-loving person to the max. I'll tell you that right now, big time, independent to the max. And but you have people like down here in Florida who've been down here since the 1800s, right? And the family, right? The family and generations back, and they're basically getting pushed out by not just the Yankees, but also even people from the South that come to this area that are professionals. They're suits, they're stuffed suits. They're doctors, banksters, attorneys, and all that stuff. Retired, and they come down here, and they just want to live the life of phoniness. And what happens is when they move into these areas, usually there's a high tax rate in these gated communities, and it starts creeping up the tax rate all around them. In other words, even if your land goes up, and say you lived in this house for 30 years, well, your property can get assessed higher due to what's around you, but you're still, you don't plan on selling it. You don't plan on selling it, you plan on living here. So why you don't really want it, you really don't care about having the properties go up because you plan to stay there, and you're paying more in taxes. Now, fortunately, Florida has a limit on how much they can raise the real estate taxes, but still, they go up due to this. And then they have other things, other types of fees that come into account, like school fees and development fees. I forgot what they are exactly, but there's other fees out there that aren't like really direct. They're on your tax bill, but they're not part of your they're not related to the assessed value, but they'll still be part of your tax bill. And these big conglomerate HOA development centers, they actually screw it up for people living around the area. And a lot of times people don't like what these places look like. They basically kill what I'm in Florida, and they basically kill what Florida's supposed to look like. I look at it like this. The guy that thinks by himself, he's the one that's true American. Your own fighter, your own one person. Somebody like that is not going to want to live in an HOA. This has always been the traditional American way of life. In other words, we escaped from Europe, which was nothing but a bunch of feudal lords and kings and queens and dukes, and they owned all the land, and we worked the land as serfs. We went to the colonies. We got away from them. And, even as the East Coast started getting screwed up, people started moving more west, or they moved into the mountains. I know when I was in California, nobody in California is native to a lot of people in California aren't native to California anymore, but if people have been in California a long time, they kind of look down at the East Coast as being blah, dismal, gray, abysmal, boring, and all this other stuff. But it really is more the Northeast than the Southeast. But the Southeast is getting transformed by not just the Northeast, but also by the professionals, which to me, the professionals are one step away from communists and socialists. They're an integral part of the, I guess you would call it the matrix, or whatever, the labyrinth. Like, in other words, if you're a doctor, you're a CPA, or a bankster, or an attorney, you're really part of this government communist overbearing bureaucracy that we have out there, and that's how you made your money. The true independent spirit, if you got somebody like that, they'd be living up in a log cabin up in Tennessee. They wouldn't be living in an apartment, an HOA, or a cute house with a manicured lawn. They'd be living in something like this. And that's how you want to do it. You want to be 100% free. And again, I want to say, at the end of this video, I'm going to have a little block here with a, what do you call it? kind of an edgy video I did some years ago about, what a retirement community should have. And I was mentioning in there, I said, if you're going to have a retirement community, let's have, hot rods, racing around, a shooting range, we can shoot stuff on out there in the woods or something. A pool with a bar inside of it and hot tubs and all kinds of crazy stuff. Um, and everything being 50s accoutrements. So you remember what it was like back then. That'll really bring some spark to you. So, I'm going to have that video on the end of this so you can see what that is. It's a little, I'll warn you, it's pretty edgy, but what the hell. Hey, I'm going to tell you, too, something else. I plan to get one of these Winchester Model 24 takedown models in the 3030 and probably next month. And, I like this because it's like old Americana, and you can put it in two pieces, put it in your backpack and stuff. I'm going to be getting one of these. Better than buying some, I don't know, some of this Fruit Loop stuff these HOA people buy. I don't know what they do. Buy some fluffy things for their golf cart. I'm not doing that. No way. Anyway, so I'll probably be buying one of those. And I'm probably going to buy a musket, an 1862 Richmond Confederate musket by Kappa Arms. Or it's spelled Chapa, but it's Kappa. But just want to point out, people that live in HOAs, and they call themselves conservatives or independent minded or constitutionalists and all this other garbage, and they live in this HOA with all these freaking restrictions. I look at them as like a bunch of hypocrites. I mean, these places turn my stomach, man. I mean, really. Anyway, over and out. Have a nice day. Don't be a kiss ass. What am I to say here? That's the word. Sorry. Hey, Susan, let that one go by. Anyway, I like, I kind of like doing this YouTube stuff. Really, I do have a lot of fun doing this. And I'm glad I'm working for Susan now, too. Because, I always worked for Jewish people when I was doing accounting. And, now I'm thinking, I was like, I'm not working for one of them. But I said, wait a minute, in a way I am. I'm working for Susan. So that's cool. So anyway, but, one of the reasons YouTube is actually successful is because, I'll tell you the truth, when I watch anything on YouTube, I never watch anything that they put down there trending. I never watch any of the big channels. I don't watch any of the corporate stuff. I don't watch any of the prepackaged stuff. I watch stuff by just regular people. That's what I do. I don't actually... That's what makes it for me. I even like a lot of the medical stuff too sometimes, but just by regular, renegade doctors and stuff. Actually, I mentioned doctors in here that being the bad guys. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes attorneys aren't the bad guys. I remember a Jewish attorney I hired. That guy was great. I loved him. He's down there in South Florida. And CPAs, they can be good too sometimes. Depends on who it is. So anyway, over and out. Have a nice day. And yeah, I'm going to put that video on the end here where you, in a little block, probably right up in here someplace. And you can watch it. And it's probably, I got to warn you, it's kind of edgy, but, it's not that bad. It's just that, if I was doing an HOA or retirement community, that's how I would do it. And I can imagine, what I'm saying in that video, I guarantee you, almost, they'd be flooding into this place. They'd be flooding into this place. It's weird because, everybody, once they see, everybody makes things the same. If they see something and it's been the way, they just do it that way. They can repeat the same pattern. I think outside the box. Actually, what I'm going to say, what I'm going to have in that video on the end here, when you look at it, it's good. I mean, it's like, it's maybe too edgy or something for some people, but it actually breaks the mold of the retirement communities and the HOAs. And it's a type of HOA that you can live with. That's more fun. Because with an HOA that we making rules, make sure the real crazy freedom-loving radicals are in here, not the, the ho-hum boring ones. Anyway, over and out. Have a nice day.